Once upon a time, in a quiet kingdom nestled between green hills and sparkling rivers, there lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. She lived with her father, a wealthy merchant who loved her dearly. But when her mother passed away, her father eventually remarried, hoping to give Cinderella a new family. Sadly, the woman he married was cold and cruel, and she brought with her 2 daughters who were just as unkind. When Cinderella's father died unexpectedly, her stepmother took control of the household. From that day on, Cinderella's life changed. She was no longer treated as a daughter of the house, but as a servant. While her stepsisters wore fine dresses and ate delicious meals, Cinderella wore patched rags and did all the chores, sweeping the floors, washing the laundry, cooking meals, and tending the fires. She often ended her day covered in ashes and dust, and so they mockingly called her Cinderella. Though she lived in hardship, Cinderella remained gentle and hopeful. She sang softly while she worked and found comfort in the birds that perched on her windowsill, and the mice that lived in the corners of the kitchen. Her kindness made her beloved by the animals, who often tried to help her in small, sweet ways. One day, news swept through the kingdom. The king was hosting a royal ball. His son, the prince, was to choose a bride, and every maiden in the land was invited. Cinderella's heart leapt with quiet joy. She had never been to a ball, never worn a beautiful gown, never danced in a grand hall. Her stepmother, however, had no intention of letting her go. She ordered Cinderella to help the stepsisters prepare, sewing their dresses, curling their hair, and polishing their shoes. Cinderella asked humbly if she might go too, but her stepmother sneered. "You? Go to the ball in those filthy rags. Don't be foolish." When the carriage carrying her stepmother and stepsisters disappeared down the road, Cinderella sat by the fireplace and wept. Her heart ached not just from the unfairness, but from the deep loneliness she felt. Suddenly, a warm light filled the room. Startled, Cinderella looked up to see a woman dressed in silver robes, holding a glowing wand. "Why are you crying, dear child?" she asked gently. "I am your fairy godmother, and you shall go to the ball." With a wave of her wand, the fairy godmother transformed a pumpkin into a grand, golden carriage. She turned 6 mice into fine white horses, and the family dog into a coachman. Then, with another wave, she changed Cinderella's tattered clothes into a stunning gown of silver and pale blue, and on her feet appeared delicate glass slippers that sparkled like stars. "Go and enjoy the ball," said the fairy godmother, "but remember, at the stroke of midnight, the magic will end." Cinderella arrived at the palace in a blaze of light and wonder. Everyone turned to look at her as she entered. The prince, struck by her beauty and grace, asked her to dance. They spent the entire evening together, speaking and laughing and dancing under the crystal chandeliers. But as the clock struck 12, Cinderella remembered the fairy godmother's warning. She fled the ballroom, her gown beginning to turn back into rags. In her haste, one glass slipper slipped from her foot, and was left behind on the palace steps. The next day, the prince announced he would search the entire kingdom for the girl who fit the glass slipper. He and his guards visited every house, trying the slipper on every young woman. But none could wear it except Cinderella. When they arrived at her home, the stepsisters tried and failed to force their feet into the shoe. Then Cinderella stepped forward. Though her stepmother protested, the prince recognized her kind eyes. The glass slipper fit her perfectly. Cinderella's rags transformed once more into her ball gown, and the prince knew she was the one he had danced with. He asked her to marry him, and she accepted with joy. Cinderella forgave her stepfamily, though she chose a new life in the palace where she was treated with love and respect. And so Cinderella, once covered in ashes, became a beloved queen, not because of magic alone, but because of her gentle heart, her courage, and her unwavering kindness.